So imagine that there's a light that has a dim meter, right? And let's say this light stays on 50%, never turns off, never goes brighter, and goes off the entire lifetime like that. Doesn't that seem redundant or useless? Because it's never hitting 100%. It's never brightening. It's only 50% dim, and it never turns off. Do you think that's really fulfilling the purpose that it was meant to fulfill? You might be thinking, well, what kind of introduction is this? Well, think about it this way. Us as humans, that's kind of how we tend to live our life, is we never push too far outside of our comfort zone, but we also never truly turn off and rest. And we'll get to the resting part towards the end of this, because resting is very important. But for right now, let's stick on the 50%. So at 50%, we're just roaming through life. We're going through the motions, getting some stuff done, but not really hitting those fulfillment, those accomplishing of our dreams. And we never turn off. We're just going at that rate the entire time. Let's say you're at a dead-end job. You're not really growing towards fulfillment. You're not growing anywhere in the business. You're going through the motions day by day, and that's just kind of life, and that's what you consider life. It's pretty draining, right? Or at least I think so. And you're just going half-masted, and ultimately it's just a waste of energy, because you're never resting, which means you never get time to regenerate. And just like a light bulb, it's going to burn out, right? Because you're never getting any rest. It never turns off, and it's never shining as bright as it can be. And that's kind of the situation that a lot of people are in. And so, what if we could change that? What if we could go into any situation in our life and let's say our priorities and say, this thing I am going all in with, and this will work. This is not going to go down. No matter how much I have to fight, this will work. What if we could do that? Well, then we'd be shining at 100%, right? Because we have made the choice that it won't not work, which means we're going to do whatever it takes. And this is the quote, burn the boats, right? So, that also means we're going to be able to rest at some point, because now we're using a lot of energy, so we got to be able to rest. Just like this light above me, it's not shining super bright, but it's not 50%. This is as much as the light can give me. And it does that, and then whenever I feel like I'm done, I turn off the light, and it rests, and it lasts longer, right? Because I'm not using it all the time, so the lifespan is going to be longer. So I have two examples in my life where I've done both of these things. The second one is still continuing, but I have made a conscious decision to keep following, especially because now I have skin in the game, which means I can't exactly back out. And in essence, the boat's burned. Then I have an example of when I was just going 50% and just kind of rolling along, doing the same things, and then when something uncomfortable came about and I needed to change, I was like, you know what, I'll just move on to something else. And ultimately, that doesn't do me any good. And if we look at the last year for me, I didn't accomplish much. I did a lot of things, but I never had success in the projects that I did. So to start that off, this last year, I did have a lot of projects that I was working on. And when I would get to those projects, I would work on the projects, let's say, for the evoke method. right? I have these projects. I would do what I knew. I would make the website, design the board, design the plan, design the content, and I would follow it through for a little bit. And even just like this year with the content stuff, if you can see this, there's 3 zeros in a row. Why? Because I died down and I fell behind. And so that's what I did pretty much all of last year. And then I would get to a point and to where I knew I had to make a decision that was uncomfortable. And then I would be like, no, I'll just go do something else. And I did this multiple times with multiple projects, and I would go back and forth between each project and then ultimately not finish any. So it was just I felt like I was doing a lot. I was doing a lot, but I wasn't really making progress. And in this way, I wasn't pushing past any comfort zone. I wasn't going above the 50%. I was just doing things that I knew how to do. And then after that, I moved to the next thing and never really followed through with anything. And so that is, in short, my example of only going 50%. And this can be the same for relationships, businesses, friendships, anything really in life, is if you're going to do it, go all in. Don't just don't half-ass it, right? Because it just doesn't do anyone any good. It doesn't do you any good. It blocks out your potential and keeps you from doing anything that you truly love to the extent that you could possibly do it. So it's just out. It's blocking out your potential. And if we go into the next story, the next page, I also had a moment with EMT school, and ultimately I wanted to do firefighting, and maybe that's still a possibility later in the future. But for the sake of this story, I went into EMT, and I told myself, I will make this class, I will pass it, I will do good, and I did do good. And nothing was going to stop me, because I was also doing college classes at the time. I put those behind, but also I still got them done because I needed to for credits, whatever. But they were secondhand. My priority was EMT school so that I could get done, so I could get a stable job. And the reasoning behind this, the reason why I went all in for this, is because at the time, I believed that in the relationship that I was in at the time, I was going to have a family, and I needed to make sure that I could take care of them. And so I stopped all of the dreams that I was chasing. And to be honest, I wasn't doing them the best way. We just talked about that. But I stopped everything and was like, let me get this done so that I know for sure I have something stable and I can take care of the people that I care about. Then I will pick back up in the future. So that's what I did. I stopped everything, all EMT, got it done. Now I'm actually going through paramedic school. The unfortunate thing, everything fell apart with the relationship, whatever. But I still stayed on that path, and I got valuable lessons out of it. And now I'm growing to be a better person, or ideally a better person. And now I'm going through paramedic school, and I'm all in on paramedic school. And I'm also all in with the podcast and stuff, at least for the most part. Like, again, I'm behind a little bit, but we're catching back up there, right? And it's not too stressful, and I'm making more progress than I would have otherwise, right? So, bearing that in mind, now I'm going through this EMT school, paramedic school, and I'm all in 100%. Cool, but what about rest? Well, rest, in my experience, it's harder to rest when things are constantly on your mind. And for me, rest is a mental thing, not a physical thing, because physically, your body's getting healed, but mentally, a lot of us stay stuck in our heads. We overthink. We can't get past certain mental blockage, and it keeps us from truly resting, because in my opinion, resting is not just laying down, going to sleep, whatever. It's being able to truly quieten our minds and being able to be content in that moment and being able to not stress about the things that we normally would. And so how do we reach that? Well, in my experience, when you go 100% for something and you follow through with that 100% day by day, right? You accomplish the certain amount of goals that you have set for the day, and you do something that's really hard for the day. At the end of the day, all of a sudden you're at rest. And you go from 100% to that 0%. And that doesn't mean you're dead. It just means everything's coming down, we're resting, we're regenerating, and the next day we can go again. Or if we have a truly, like an actual day-long rest day, in my experience, I mean, that takes a little while to get back up and running again once you take a full day off. But, you know, for me, it's like a couple hours, and I'm okay. And then I can start the next day, whatever. So after pushing yourself extensively and kind of getting that exhaustion out mentally, physically, whatever you're doing, something that's fulfilling to you ideally, because then it justifies the 100%, going 100%, shining your light as brightly as you can in that moment. Then it kind of tricks your mind, and there's some science behind it. I don't know all the science, but then you're able to calm down and feel like you actually accomplished something, and or whatever your driver is. And then you're just resting, and you get that true rest. And that's a state that I strive to try and be in whenever I can, because I do try and constantly do things, which means I need that rest time. But I also similarly rest less than other people, or at least comparatively. I get a lot of people that tell me I need to rest more. But when I rest, I truly feel like I'm resting. I'm not mentally elsewhere, and I'm not mentally stressing about other things. Every now and then, yes, and I'm human, so like you gotta give me some slack for that. But if I'm pushing myself and trying to accomplish some sort of goal for the day, and if I'm falling behind and I'm able to lift myself up just a little bit, get that 100% in, whether it's just in the gym or something, or a cold shower, then it feels a little bit better the rest of the day. And so if we can strive to not just live in that 50%, because it is ultimately just draining, and you're not reaching as far as you can, and you're not really resting. And if you're 50% your entire life, you're gonna miss out on a lot. And I would hate to see that in myself, I would hate to see that in my family, and I would hate to see that in you as well. Because we can do a lot more than what you think. You can do a lot more than what you think. And I know you can do a lot more than what you think, because 5 years ago, I never thought I would be in the position that I am now. And while it's still a struggle, I'm also much more fulfilled than I used to be. And that's honestly the best that I could ask for, because not only am I able to be on an ambulance and be super uncomfortable in what I do and still learn and get that sense of fulfillment out of just helping in those little situations, I'm also able to sit here and do this and dig into my head and find my experiences that I feel like might be able to help you and share those with you. And so ultimately, my fulfillment is very, very high right now. Even though I get sick, I got a little runny nose, sometimes it's tiring and I don't want to get up and do this, I feel like it ultimately does bring some value. And that's a good thing. And that keeps me fighting, and that keeps me wanting to shine at 100%, even when it's very, very, very difficult. And so if we can find something that's passionate like that for us, that we're willing to go more than that 50% for, and then also push ourselves to the point where we do need that rest and just let ourselves have that rest mentally, it makes everything else worth it. And you can do more, you accomplish more, and you feel more rested more often. And that's just, like, why would you not want that? Why would you not want to accomplish more? And why would you not want to feel more rested? Because ultimately, by choosing not to live in that 50%, my life has changed completely. And I know that that can be the same for everyone else because we're all human. We've all messed up. We've all done our own share of things. But that also means that we can all succeed and we can all find a sense of fulfillment. And if we can do that, and we can come together and do that together, then we can grow. And we can become more of who we're meant to be, of who we are. And like some people say, not an NPC. But, you know, I'm just a guy on the internet. These are just my experiences and what I've seen in other people and what I've seen in myself. But try it. Try going all in. After all, what do we really have to lose? We're not going to be here forever. And if you're younger, you have more time to mess up. Which means you might as well try and go all in, because if you don't go all in, you're never going to know what you could have done. And if you have something to lose, fortify it so that it can't be taken from you. And then make the risks. Take the risks. They're worth it, even if you just learn something. But you fail only when you give up, which means your 0% resting becomes a negative and your bulb was blown, you're splattered, whatever. We don't want that. So just keep pushing and you'll get there. Maybe I'll get there too.